And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
All right, we are back. It is the Weighing In podcast with the man, the myth, the legend. That's right, Josh, the real Punk Thompson. I'm not talking about you, Podcast Dave. You're a nobody. But we are here to talk about all the fights coming up, and we got a ton of fights coming up this weekend. A little bit of news to talk about, all kinds of good things. How you feeling there, my man? You ready to fly?
A little bit of news. Yeah, I got to leave here in about a couple hours. So we're filming this right now at 4. I say at 4 a.m. So you guys can get a show before we hop on the flights and head out to Bellator this weekend in St. Louis, Missouri, man. So I'm pumped. I'm pumped for this weekend. I mean, you got Eagle FC, you got the UFC, you even got a
One FC,
you got a
PFL Challenger,
you got a Bellator, if you guys can't find a fight to watch that you really want to watch, you're just not looking hard enough. I mean, really, just click on the internet. It's there. It's ready for you guys. But you guys saw how Big John introduced this show, and you guys always give me a hard time about giving Podcast Dave a hard time. Here's the thing, guys. If Big John's doing it, I must be on the right
There's a reason.
I must be on the right. Mr. Innocent Podcast Dave over there is not so innocent.
They're not here for the beginning before we started all the shit this man talks, right?
Oh, jeez.
God damn. He's on fire.
He's got you all fooled, man. He's got you all fooled. Mr. Sympathy.
Come on here, Mr. Podcast Dave. How you feeling, baby?
I just came on and hit record, and you guys just let loose.
Just attack you, right? Yeah.
Can't believe what's
did
going on.
nothing.
Yeah.
What's it like to be so innocent?
I know.
This is a what do you call it? A chaotic work environment, or whatever you call it.
Perhaps we should put you in your little safe space. We'll put you over there in the corner. Let's see. All right. Well, hey, go to weighinginpodcast.com. Pick up some of our merch. It's available now. And we have readjusted the prices after that first March. So you guys check it out. We've got maroon, black, gray, heather gray. Big John's got a hoodie on right now.
Yeah,
he's sporting
baby.
it. There is a crew neck sweater out there as well. Podcast Dave loves them. We've got long sleeve shirts, short sleeve shirts in all different colors, and even a coffee mug. So you guys check it out. Take a picture of yourself either wearing it or using the coffee mug or whatever, and we would love to repost, retweet. We want to thank you guys for continuing to support us. John, we have a lot of fight cards to talk about. We've got a lot of fights to talk about. Now, look, guys, we're going to cherry pick a little bit of the ones that we obviously would love to talk more. Yeah, I'm just trying to put it nicely. But this is one of those situations where there's so many cards, so many good fights that we want to talk about the ones that obviously a lot of people are talking about and the buzz is about. So let's get into it, man. Let's go right into Eagle FC first. You've got Kevin Lee versus Diego Sanchez. I got to be honest. I'm pumped for this fight. I'm pumped to see. I mean, like, when it first was announced, I was like, I don't know. John, I don't know. I
was the same way.
But now that it's here, I'm pumped. I'm like, Diego, I follow him on social media. He seems like he's been working pretty hard. Like, there was a lot of things going on with him emotionally. And, after he left after the UFC and him split, Kevin Lee, I mean, he's just been an up and down roller coaster. No one's ever denied his talent, his ability. I mean, I've said on this show, I don't know how many times, countless times, how damn good he could be and how damn good I've seen him be. It's just a matter of which Kevin Lee is going to show up. We're going to find out, like, which one, because he needs to show up. Even if it's not 100%, he still needs to be at 80%, I think, to beat Diego. Because Diego's going to grind on him. Diego's going to push that pace. Diego's going to get in his grill, take some shots to deliver a shot. And it's just going to happen. This is at 165. So neither one of them really should have to cut a lot of weight. Neither one of them are in that mix of where they've always wanted to be because no other organization offers that 165-pound weight class. This should be the reason we see the best from either one. This should be the reason.
I feel the same way you do because when it was first announced, I'm like, man, don't do that to Diego because he's getting older. And speed-wise, there's a big speed difference here in this fight. But there are advantages that Diego does have when it comes to the wrestling. Look, Kevin Lee's a good wrestler and Diego's a good wrestler. They kind of cancel each other out a little bit there. but Diego is definitely the grinder. Kevin is the guy, if you're going to say who's going to get tired in this fight, it's Kevin Lee. He's the guy that if he's not in control of the pace of this fight, Diego can push him to the point of things can start to go bad for him because Diego's got that kind of gas tank. Diego can just go and push and not stop. He's got that mentality. He is tough as nails. So I look at this and it's, I do think that Kevin has the advantage. The youth, the speed, the stand-up. I give the advantage to Kevin Lee, but it's not that Diego can't win this fight. He can definitely win the fight. He just needs to pull it into his world. He needs to pull it into we're going to make this nasty. We're going to make this a grinding hard. You're going to have to work every step of the way fight, and he can get the win. So I'm actually looking forward to it. I will be watching. I'm looking forward to the fight. I think it's a good one. It's a good matchup. Again, it's I know I was saying, that's a bad fight for Diego. Speed-wise, it is. But he can win.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no doubt. Diego's fought guys that have way better stand-up than Kevin Lee.
Yeah.
So when we're having this conversation, Diego can win this fight. He can win this fight, but putting Kevin Lee on his back foot and making Kevin Lee even more tired, even faster, by making him fight going backwards. If he makes him stay within that black line in the fence, and he continues to have to move and move, Kevin Lee will start to feel that pressure, and his cardio meter is just going to start ticking away. It's just going to start going down and depleting every step he takes. It's going to happen to him. Oh, there it is.
Oh, look at you. You got someone is giving you the alarm.
Yeah. So it really comes down to Diego. Diego, he just fights careless. That's the way he fights. He fights reckless. He comes forward, but there's nothing, not one bad thing I can say in terms of he's going to push him. He's going to take shots to give shots. He's going to try to wrestle a little bit. He's going to try to keep it on the feet as well as mix it up. Kevin Lee is still trying to figure out, I feel this, John, he's still trying to figure out who he is. He doesn't know if he's a wrestler. He doesn't know if he's a stand-up guy. He doesn't know if he's a submission guy. He has submissions on his records. He's got knockouts on his records. He's got finishes. He's got all these things, but he doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know he can't pinpoint exactly one good thing he's good at. He's good at a lot of things, but he doesn't fight smart. He's the guy that will keep it on the feet when he should get the fight to the ground. He's the guy that will take the fight to the ground when he should keep it on the feet. I don't understand. He just needs to work on his fight IQ. His talent is there. You don't need to be the best at anything. You've got to be good at everything, and he is. He just hasn't figured out how to fight the proper way against whoever they put in front of him. And I think Diego is going to force him to fight in a way he may not be comfortable. And that's why I'm saying Diego's got a pretty damn good chance. Now, Kevin Lee, he's got it as well, like you said. He's got the knockout power. He's got some punching. He's going to be faster than Diego.
Much.
He's going to be longer than Diego.
Much.
Okay, and I think I agree with you in terms of the wrestling will probably cancel itself out. But when it comes to submission, Diego's got the better jiu-jitsu.
No doubt.
I think Kevin Lee's going to be stronger. So him getting to those positions, Diego's going to have to catch him in transition, especially early in the fight. Whereas Kevin Lee's going to be harder for him to get taken down. It's going to be harder for him to get the positions he wants because Kevin Lee's going to be stronger. He's going to probably try to muscle him over, which is going to use a lot of energy. There's a lot of different ways this fight can go.
Yeah,
I'm sitting here going, man, this Diego can win this way. Oh wait, Kevin Lee can win this way. This is what makes this a good fight.
Yep, it is.
Scroll on down. Okay, let's talk about another fight on this card.
I'm going to go past his on Ankalaev against Anthony Hamilton. I think not that I know that's for a belt too. And look, Ankalaev is he's just a better fighter. Just a better fighter overall. I've been around Anthony. He's a good wrestler, tough dude. Not fast enough for Ankalaev, so I'm just going to go past it. But the one
Anthony Hamilton from the one submission that
the one submission that Francis Ngannou has, man. That was against Anthony Hamilton. The fight I did, and it was like, ooh, wrestler against striker. And this is going to be good, man. This is a guy that's got all that power. What the hell is he doing? He just got a Kimura. Okay, let's go.
That's so
Ray Borics versus Ricky Bandejas. That's a good fight. That's a really good fight. Ray Borics coming off a great win, really looking good. We know how good he is everywhere. He's just a dog, man. He got a good gas tank. Ricky Bandejas he's that up and down fighter, man. He can be unbelievable at times. And he can be very disappointing when he's put on his back foot and he doesn't throw.
Yep.
So if Ray Borg has been watching tape or if he's listening to this podcast, Ray, put him on his back foot. Make it to where he's feeling pressure and his offense will slow down. If you allow him to get going, he's trouble.
Yeah, Ray's gonna have a little bit of a hard time, I think, with the reach, but it doesn't mean shit if the reach is too long and the guy's not throwing. So I've said this to Ricky, I don't know how many times, and you guys say that like sometimes when I say things like this, it's I'm being an asshole, I'm being a hater, I'm being a biased guy. But here's the thing, though, everything I'm telling you guys right now, I've told Ricky Bandejas. You need to throw punches. You need to keep your chin down, your hands up. You need to back. You need to, when you do back away, circle. Don't just back straight to the fence to be taken down. These are all things that I've sat in front of him and told him to his face. You've got to understand, he is a super talented fighter. He's got good kicks. He's got good hands in terms of speed. He keeps his chin a little high. He backs himself up to the fence and allows himself to be taken down, or not allows himself to be taken down, I should say. But he allows for them
Puts
to
himself
enter
in the
in.
position.
To be taken down.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I think he's going to be the faster fighter. He's going to be obviously the longer fighter. He's pretty tall for the weight class. He's just got to believe in himself. That's all he's got to do. Believe in what he can do. Remember, he's the guy that knocked out James Gallagher. So he was able to put him away. I mean, and everyone can say what they want about James. James is a tough kid. This kid just kind of walked him down, was very patient with him, hit him with some nice shots, hit him with a beautiful side kick. You know, and then Ricky went through a run of bad luck in terms of just not fighting to his abilities, and that's what led him into being released from Bellator. But he's a talented fighter, and he's a man blessed with 4 young daughters. Poor guy. Oh man, he's like, yeah, I even got dogs. They're all girls. I said, man, what are you doing to yourself? So. He made the move down to American Top Team. I think that's what some of the transition phase when he left New Jersey, went down to American Top Team. It's always hard to go to a new camp, fall into a rhythm. Sure, it feels good to be there, but you're kind of redesigning the way you fight. You're kind of making some changes. There's a lot on your mind, whether it's family, whether it's a team, whether it's your game plan. So hopefully we're going to start to see that start to come together for him. And get him a couple wins. This fight's going to be a good fight. I think this fight's a sleeper fight for this card.
Yeah, no, it's a good fight overall. Yep. A couple other ones that are on there. You have, let's talk about Magomedliev against Impa Kasanganay, the guy that everyone knows from the Joaquin Buckley unbelievable jumping, spinning, he's holding my leg knockout, man. Just he's always going to be known for that. That's something I really
want to be remembered for.
I know he's always going to be remembered for that. But he's actually he's a good fighter. He's tough as hell, and this is actually a good matchup.
Speaking of spinning, back fist knockouts and things like that. Yeah, I've had one on my.
yeah, that's it.
I've got one.
Somehow those things never go away.
Oh man, it's so funny. I love when people when I post the Nate Diaz thing, right? And someone's like, "Man, that was like 7 years ago," but then they post a video of me and Eves. I'm like.
That was like 15 years ago.
Were you even born when this happened?
Yeah.
15. It was almost. It's actually 20.
2001.
Yeah, it's 2001 or 2000. The early 2002.
20,
I think it was 2001.
21 years. Damn.
I know it's 21
you
years.
You old some bitch.
I am. So Eve's just reached out to me also too. Said there's a lot of fights this weekend. They're gonna be doing like a kind of like a fight companion online or something like that to watch fights this weekend. I was like, nah. I got shows to talk about. But he's a good guy, man. He's a good guy. We've talked several times. We did a recap on my fight with him for one of his shows that he was working on. So, all right, sorry to interrupt, but Impa Kasanganay. Yeah, Kasanganay. Okay, and then anybody with the name Magomed in their name. If you were to offer me a fight with a guy named Magomed, I'm like, nah. I'll pass. You know what? My knees kind of bother me. I kind of just take a little time off. As soon as that guy's booked, okay, I'm ready to go.
Hard pass.
Oh, yeah. Impa's tough, though, man. You guys got to remember, that fight, that was a good fight up until that moment.
Yeah.
Up until that moment where Joaquin Buckley hit him with that spinning back kick to the face. I mean, it was a good fight. They were going back and forth. I had Buckley kind of winning the fight in some of the exchanges because he was the faster fighter, but he wasn't the bigger fighter. I wouldn't even say he had more power. I would just say that he had the speed and the ability to get to land that shot. It was a good fight.
Yeah.
In terms of Magomedov or whatever, like he's just gonna go out there and continue to just do what he do. Put Impa on his back foot. Try to get this fight to the ground. Throw your combinations, press to the fence, all those things to try to mix it up. But I think the thing with the Dagestani fighters, or the Magomed fighters, I should say, or the Nurmagomedov fighters. the Magomed and the Nurmagomedov, fighters, is that
Joe Rogan.
they can all fight. They can all fight. They can take the fight anywhere, and that's the situation with a lot of them. That some of these other fighters just haven't quite wrapped their head around yet, John. Is that they just really believe that they can just live off their ability to stop one takedown or two takedowns, and then just keep it on the feet and knock people out. And we just saw with Masvidal. Masvidal's been in this sport for I don't know how long, and everyone knows, you guys. I've said it for the last couple of weeks. Masvidal's my boy, man. I got a lot of love for him and respect just because he's been in the game for so long, still doing his thing. But at the end of the day, like he's got good takedown defense, but not good enough to be the champ. He's got good boxing. And he's had great success when he fought guys like Darren Till and things like that at a weight class of above when everyone was hyped around Darren Till. He has all of the attributes to be a champion, but when it comes down to it, he's still kind of a little bit one-dimensional. There's never a threat of him taking you down. If there is, there's not really a threat of him submitting you, even though he's good in all those areas. You've got to implement those things in the fights so people respect you more and worried about you being threatened that way. Impa is one of those guys. He's going to try to just keep this thing sprawling, brawl, and keep it on the feet, and I don't think he's going to be able to do that.
I don't know. It's going to be a tough one. There's a couple of names on here. A lot of people have heard, and I don't know if they remember, but Daryl Horchuk, fought for the UFC, fought for the PFL. He's a tough dude. Good taking on Ankalaev. This is a tough fight. Ankalaev can be touched though, and Horchuk's got power in his hands, so it could be a good matchup. You got Nishan Burrell. He's taking on another guy from Dagestan. Tough dude. Ankalaev, that's a tough fight. It's a tough one. Ankalaev is good. This guy gets into you, and if he gets into Nishan and he takes him off of his feet, there will be problems. But Burrell's guy, he's had some good fights. He had a fight against Michael Page long ago, where a lot of people said, "Hey, he's going to get killed," and no, I think it went the distance, and he kept it on the feet, and he was able to stay with Page for a while. So he's a good fighter. He's tough.
And then you got Rodney Marks versus Reggie Pena. I don't even know who Reggie is. Rodney's coming off of his loss, but it's like he's another one of those guys. He's good on the feet. He's good on the ground, but he's also someone that I believe he used to fight at 185, right? Now he's at light heavyweight, but then he's fought at heavyweight a bunch of times.
Then heavyweight.
Then heavyweight. If he's fighting at light heavyweight, is he cutting the weight and then fighting, or is he dieting down and nutritioning down to 205? I think to me that's what's gonna make the difference in this fight. If he's someone that when he takes care of his body and he takes care of himself, he's a dangerous fighter. When he just puts the weight on with reckless abandonment and then just goes out there and I've seen him. He has looked thick.
Real thick.
Yeah, when we say thick boy, like Brendan Schaub likes to throw around, this kid is thick. He's maybe 6'1", 6'1", but his legs are enormous. His tree trunk legs, his waistline, all those things. I'm like, damn. Yeah, no thanks, man. I'm not trying to get smashed by you on. Jeez. But he's got good submissions. He's got good top pressure. He's got good ground and pound. He's not bad on the feet. He's got to work on it a little bit more, but he's not bad. But what he does lack is conditioning. When you put that amount of weight on, your conditioning suffers because your body's not used to carrying that much muscle or that much body, that much weight. And so we're gonna see. Hopefully, we see a better Rodney Marks than we saw last time in the Bellator cage. All right, let's talk about the next fight card.
But Eagle FC should be good.
Yeah, it should be.
Got some good ones.
Dave, we'll go back to Eagle FC real quick. What's the time and day?
It's on Friday. The time's not on here, but
Okay.
you know they're all on Friday. I mean, these
Yeah, they're all on
three-
Friday, but I was just wondering if there's a time because of the time change. Are they starting it earlier? Are they starting it later? Maybe that's something you could try to look up and find out while we're talking
I
about.
think
the
it's
next
6
card.
p.m. Eastern.
6 p.m. Eastern, so 3
Yeah.
o'clock here on the West Coast.
Yep.
Yeah, is that that's just the prelim start, or is that the main card? You know,
Can't tell
yeah.
you. It said
right.
6 p.m. Eastern. I know.
All righty. Let's get into this next card while Dave dinks around. All right, so look, I don't know anything about Than Lee. I know a lot about Gary Tonin, but in terms of you're telling me, obviously this is like a throwback fight to UFC 1, jiu-jitsu versus kickboxing. That's it. This is what you're gonna get.
Yeah.
It's so funny. You guys off air. John goes, this is not even really a fight. Like once Gary Tonin gets his fight to the ground, it's over. I said, yeah, but if Gary Tonin can't get him to the ground, Than Lee's gonna knock him out, right? So it's over. So that's what makes these fights exciting, John. Because Gary Tonin's got no stand up, and he doesn't claim to have any stand up. You know, and Than Lee is apparently really good on the feet.
Good on the feet. He's just, I mean, ground game wise, it's not even close.
This is a main event title fight.
So
John.
far apart. I know it is. You know,
At lightweight.
Gary Tonin
I
could be the
thought-
lightweight champion in ONE FC.
I thought that was what's his name? Lee. What was his?
No, Christian lost
Christian
to
Lee.
he lost to God damn it. I'm trying to think who he lost.
Boylong?
He lost to
No.
no. You know who he lost
Coke,
to?
Coke,
He lost
Coke.
to Oak.
Oak.
Yeah. He lost to Oak,
Yeah.
but it wasn't. I guess that is their 155. So
Yeah, I don't know what.
I don't know what.
I think it's because of their weight class. I think that's what they're having a hard time with their weight class. Like, guys can come in at say 170, but that's their lightweight division or something like that. So I don't know how they're doing it. But this is for the
because
lightweight
Oak is
title.
huge.
So maybe they had a problem with with Oak in terms of contract signing. I
Maybe.
don't know, unless it's a different weight class. Anyways, but overall, this is a style of contrast. You've got Gary Tonin, who's a top-level jiu-jitsu guy around the world, and you got Than Lee, who is apparently a very good kickboxer. John has seen him fight. You have a style of contrast. Is one guy's going to grapple, one guy's going to keep it on the feet, or try to keep it on the feet, and they're going to throw down. So we're going to
yes,
see.
they are.
And the fight that everybody should be waiting for, the fight that everyone should be excited for, is finally going to happen. It is a title fight. Bibiano is going to be fighting John Lineker. This was supposed to happen from before, but something happened the week of the fight. I think Bibiano had to pull out, whether it's for COVID or whether it was for injury, whether it was
Lineker.
whatever.
I think it was Lineker.
Oh, was it Lineker?
Wasn't it Lineker?
I don't think so. I think it was Bibiano. I think
Okay.
something happened. All right, so but either way, the fight was postponed, and here we are now. It's fight weekend, and this is a fight that I think everyone's been waiting for.
This is a
John,
good fight.
It is a good fight, but like we talked about a little bit with Diego Sanchez, he's a little bit older. Bibiano's been around for a long time. I don't know, he doesn't get the credit he deserves, but in his heyday,
He's good.
holy shit, this guy was good. You know, I've had an opportunity to train with him, grapple with him back when I was working for ONE as a commentator there. This guy is good. Like, he is good on the ground. He's extremely strong for his size.
Got
you
great
wouldn't think it.
pressure.
I see him. Yeah, he's got good top pressure, good heavy pressure. He transitions really well. His hand strength, like his grip strength around the wrist, all those things, he's very good. And he's got good punching power. You know, we played a little bit in the touching in the games, and play it. And I'm glad he didn't hit me hard, but he's got some power, man. He's got some pop. Now, you were saying that, obviously on the feet, he's gonna have a little bit of a harder time with Lineker because Lineker he's explosive. He's got big power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
What
really
else?
think that on the feet, look, Bibiano has never been a guy that tries to keep the fight on the feet. He always uses his stand-up to get into a position where he can get the fight to the ground, and he dominates people on the ground. He beats them up on the ground. He's got great ground and pound. He's got great positional jiu-jitsu. He's got great submissions. He's just good. I'm just not sure that he can handle, especially when I look at Lineker fighting in ONE. It's like the perfect matchup because he doesn't have to be in that he's not dropping that weight like he used to, and that used to just kill him. And he's been looking really good in one. His power is there. He's got bombs in his hands for.
Dogs. Don't try and change the name, okay?
he's got dogs in his hands, but and this is, you don't find a whole lot of guys at the lighter weights that have that one punch knockout power. Lineker has it. You get guys that they can get the knockout and they can do it with multiples, but they can't just starch someone. Lineker can starch you. He's got that kind of power, and so Bibiano being a little bit older, a little bit slower. This is a tough fight. He needs to really work hard, get into Lineker, take him out of that range where he's dangerous, put him on his back if he can. I do think that Bibiano's ground game is a little bit better than Lineker's and stuff. So, but it's a fun fight. This should actually be a really interesting and good fight to watch.
Yeah, I'm excited for this fight. I've been looking forward to this fight. I'm surprised it's not the main event, just to be honest, though, John.
So am I. Comparatively, but the one's for a title. So what are you going to do? I understand.
They're both for a title, though. They're both for a title.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, they're both for a title.
Yeah, it should be. It should be a main
the bigger
event.
names. The bigger names to me is Bibiano and Lineker.
But it's okay. But they always put the heavier weight
guys
into the main.
Yeah, I know. It's such a
whatever.
shame. Such a shame. I've been getting screwed like that for years. It's like,
well,
no, but overall,
do they always? Is it always?
It's pretty
pretty consistent. Yeah, I don't know if it's always.
Yeah, it's pretty consistent. Yeah. Well, let's give you like an example. Would be like last week, right? The UFC card. You have Greg Hardy on that card. You and I brought that up. Greg Hardy was on that card against Spivak. And then you had a really good, where the female fight on the undercard was really good. There was one other fight on the undercard that was really good. Those two fights could have been bumped up with name value. Remember, the female fight was 2 top 5 contenders.
Oh, I know. Marina Rodriguez against
that sucked.
Zhao Nan.
Yeah, like that to me was like, that was, if I was those two females, knowing that Marina Rodriguez is knocking on the door for a title shot.
Oh yeah.
And you have her on the prelims. That sucked. I felt bad for the two of them because both of them are extremely talented. And you guys can say whatever you guys want about me and what I'm saying. I go, but the bottom line is I'm always going to be prejudiced against heavyweights because I don't like them. No, I'm just kidding, guys. Oh, man. All right. Look, the PFL also has a Challenger Series. We're just going to touch on one or two of the fights that we're actually excited about in this card. And, John, go ahead.
Look at the main event is a featherweight battle between Mike Barnett and look at Exon. Yeah, it's okay. It's not bad. But
it's a Challenger Series. I want to preface that it's a Challenger Series. This is not their pay-per-view model. This is not their ESPN Plus model. So this is where they're trying to build their young talent.
Yeah, well, and it's people trying to actually, I call it it's the audition. These guys are trying to get into the PFL. They're trying to actually make the PFL want to have them on their cards and stuff. So it's understandable of where who's on the cards and why and what they're doing. But I know that I've watched Exon out of EFC. He's been fighting there. He's good. He's got good submissions, really good submissions. Stand-up wise, okay. But it should actually be, I watched Mike Barnett fight many times. He's got a lot of power in his hands. But on the ground, he's going to be in trouble. On the feet, I think he'll do well. So, it's again, comes down to the style. Who's going to be the guy that can put the fight where they want it.
Scrolling down on this, Dave, who else is on this card?
Boston Salmon. That's the guy that's on this card. I like Boston Salmon.
Do you?
I do. He's fun to watch. He's explosive. He can be touched though. So it's he's one of those ones, but he's a good fighter, and I don't blame the PFL for looking at him. He's going against Lee, who I don't know, but I like Boston Salmon. He's been, Boston was in the UFC for a short stint. He's good.
All right. Well, the other kid, the kid that I want to say that I've always been high on, I was actually kind of upset when Bellator didn't sign him. I met this young man at the Bellator tryouts in Hawaii. He flew himself, him and his buddy flew themselves from Alaska down to the tryouts in Hawaii. And his Scotty Stockman. So he trained. Then after that tryout, I said, I told him, I was like, hey, I really like you. I'm really going to make a push, for you to get signed. We tried in terms of like it. I tried.
Good job.
With Rich,
Good job.
with
You did
Rich
well,
Chow
Josh. Obviously.
Yeah, I did really well.
You got a lot. You got a lot of push, don't you?
I know. This people keep hitting me up, going, "Hey, man," and I'm like, "Look, we've made a couple pushes and they've gotten signed, and we've made a couple pushes, and they're like, look, we just need more experience in that weight class because the guys that we have there have been with us for a long time, and they're gonna have to fight those guys right away." So at the time, Scotty was at 145. And you got to think, you had Patricio, Emmanuel Sanchez, Henry Corrales, Daniel Weichel. You had all these guys, Daniel Strauss, all those guys at 145. And I'm over here saying, hey, let's sign this young kid. And they're like, yeah, our division's stacked right now. It was right around the time we did the 145-pound tournament. Like, yeah. Now he fights at 155.
Really?
Oh, sorry. He's at featherweight
They're
still.
145,
So, because when I was talking with, because he's at now, what happened after that tryout, he ended up coming home he went back home to Alaska, and then he flew directly to Milwaukee. So now he trains with Stotts and Pettis and Emmanuel Sanchez. Now he's been there since those tryouts, probably like a couple weeks after, and he's just gotten a lot better. He was a wrestler, but at that tryout, I got to toot his horn a little bit, man. This kid was only 155 pounds, not a small guy, or not a big guy. But he was wrecking everybody. He was wrecking everyone. We broke him up in kind of the weight classes. We thought they, and they went from 145 to 170. So he was going against everyone. He stayed in when I do the rotation, like the rotate train, where you stay in if you keep winning and you switch top and bottom. He just kept staying in. I was like, for an hour straight, I had these guys go, and he never got tired. He kept staying in. He was jacking people up. I was very impressed. And so I just want to toot his horn, man. I want to wish him the best of luck, man. He's 3-1. I don't know the guy he's fighting, Zurcher, but look, Zurcher's 2-0. He's a young, talented fighter. He's very quiet, very humble, speaks well when you talk to him. He's a good-looking kid, and he's pretty well built. But he's got good wrestling. He's got good submissions. I haven't seen him stand up a whole lot. We just saw a couple of the drills that he did at the Bellator thing. But, every time I talk to Duke Rufus about him, he's like, he's gotten a lot better since he's come in terms of putting everything together. And I'm like, how could he not? You're in there with Pettis, both Pettises. He's in there with, Emmanuel Sanchez and all the other guys that were out of there, Stotts. And when I talked to Stotts about him, Stotts like, man, he's tough. He's a tough kid. He's a real good kid, too. So I want to wish him the best of luck, man. I just wanted to let him know I didn't forget about him at the tryouts. But good luck, young man. All right.
Good luck,
next
young
card.
man. I'm the guy that tried to get you in and couldn't do
tried,
a damn
man.
thing for you.
I know. I tried, man.
It happens, dude.
It's
We
so
do it
funny.
all the time.
If you ask Rich Chow, every time I would see his name come up in some sort of fight card or whatever it was, and I saw a highlight video because I started following him on social media, I'd just send a short clip of it to Rich. Hey, remember this kid? He's like, yes, Josh, I remember this kid. You keep sending me the videos of him every time he fights and wins. I'm like, well, sign him. We tried the same thing with one of the other Russian lightweight guys.
I've done it. I've done it with so many of them, man. It's like Coker gets tired of me sending him tweets.
This guy's
text.
good. Get him.
It's like,
But
hey,
with
you
a
see
young
this
guy with a young guy like Scotty, right? It's a project. It's somebody that you got to take time to build. And in that division, there's no projects in that division because you have so many top guys in that division. We're about to speak about two of them. You've got Adam Borics versus Mads Burnell at 145. Both these guys are studs, man. Both of them are ranked number 2, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Well, they're both number 2.
Somebody sent me a thing talking trash to me, going, "How could they possibly both rank number 2?" And so then I sent him a clip or a screenshot of two of the Conor McGregor and somebody else being ranked number 9.
Number 9.
I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how
this could ever happen. This would never happen anywhere else.
Yeah, but no, it just really what you guys, if you guys don't understand, for us, I don't know about the UFCs on how they do their rankings, but we basically at the end of every weekend, we don't do anything. Bellator submits the fight card that happened. They watched it. They're supposed to have watched it. And then the rankings come back every Monday. And so you get and it's all done by the media. It's not done by any of us. It's not done by anyone that works for Bellator. It's done by just the media. The media puts together a compilation of who they think should be in the top 10. That being said, there should be a tiebreaker. I don't care which organization you're in. There should be a tiebreaker. You shouldn't have two guys ranked at number 2. And the UFC shouldn't have two guys ranked at number 9. And no other organization have two guys ranked. Just say, hey, whoever has the more fights or the more submissions. Let's say the first thing is who has the most finishes. There's your tiebreaker. The odds of that being tied are pretty slim. You know what I mean? And then go from there saying, okay, who had something else? I don't even know. Whatever. I don't even know. But who has the most submission or who has the most finishes? That should be the tiebreaker. And then maybe make up one more just in case that ties also, which would be very rare. But for some reason, they haven't done that yet, and we are stuck now with 2 number 2s.
That's okay. We're going to find out which one belongs at number 2 and which one belongs at another number. 3.
Yeah, another number. But, okay, so when we talked about the Than Lee fight and the Gary Tono fight, I look at it very similar to this fight, just at a higher level. Yep. Just at a higher level in terms of, Adam Borics, I haven't seen Than Lee fight. Maybe his stand-up's better than Adam Borics. Okay,
it's good.
And what's that?
It's good.
It's good. And then Mads Burnell, I've grappled and rolled with him and trained with him, and he's strong. Everyone at Couture's talks highly of him, and everyone. I know what he's good at in terms of his grappling.
Yeah.
But this fight will not. If it goes Adam Boric's way, he will not be on the feet. It will not be on the ground. I mean, and Mads Burnell, if it goes his way,
flying knee.
Yeah. And Adam Borics and Mads Burnell, if he wins, this fight will be on the ground. Yes. So it's going to come down to whoever can implement their game plan the best, which is normally how fights work out, by the way. But this is where they have to implement their game plan to be in the position to win the fight, period. On the bottom, Adam Borics is not going to submit Mads Burnell. Very rarely. It would be. No. I doubt. I very doubt it.
Even if Mads Burnell, stand up.
He could. Mads Burnell could, in a weird exchange, get a knockout. I don't see it happening, but it's one of those situations. It's the same thing that if Borics was to drop Mads and Mads turned his back, he may get a submission that way. That's how I look at Mads maybe getting the knockout against Borics. The thing is, John, when I look at these two, Adam Borics is 5'11", 5'10", 5'11". He's pretty tall for the weight. Yeah. He fights long. He's got good kickboxing. He's got a hell of a chin, and he seems to be pretty strong. Guys have a hard time taking him down. When they do take him down, he just pops back up. Yep. Except for when he fought Darren Caldwell. Mads Burnell is someone who just grinds on you, hangs on you, gets to your back. Okay, if he doesn't get to your back, he sits in that half guard position and just tries to elbow you and smash you. And when you try to get an underhook, he goes right to his Japanese necktie and he finishes you from there. That's the way this fight's gonna happen.
Well, see, and I look at Mads Burnell differently because if you watch Mads Burnell on the ground, he doesn't sit. He doesn't stay in one position. He's always improving his position to another place to put more pressure on you, to create more problems for you. His ground game is outstanding. Take a look at what he did with Sal Rogers. Sal Rogers is good on the ground, and Sal Rogers is the guy that went with Ryan Hall and just beat Ryan Hall up on the ground, where everyone was saying, man, you got to keep this fight in the standing position. No, right away takes him down and just beats up Ryan Hall. Mads Burnell made Sal Rogers' night miserable on the ground to the point where he finally got rid of him. Mads Burnell is great at continually putting more and more pressure on the ground, and he's got just a vast array of submissions that he goes to. Yes, he loves the Japanese necktie, but he'll let go of it too. He knows when it's there and when it's not. So this is not a guy that I love when I see a guy who understands, I'm losing that, and then just goes to another thing, switches so he doesn't lose position. That's Mads Burnell. He is a smart fighter. Mm-hmm. Adam Borics is a dynamic fighter. The kid's good. He's fun to watch, and he's smart when he's fighting his fight. What we saw when he did lose that one loss, and that was to Darren Caldwell, is right away he made the mistake of trying to get himself back to his feet, giving his back, letting a choke be sunk in, and he couldn't get out of it. And if he makes that kind of mistake against Mads Burnell, I guarantee you he's not going to be number 2 anymore. He cannot make that mistake again. I'm sure that he's learned from that. I know he's moved on. He's not quite the same fighter that we saw when he was undefeated and he was taking all of those risks, though. And he has become much more settled down as far as he doesn't take as many. He doesn't do as many flying knee attempts and things like he did in the past because of the fact that Darren Caldwell got him on that one. So this is a very interesting fight. Both guys are good. They're both good. And either guy can win. It's just a matter of, I do think that Burnell has more opportunities there for him to win as far as, I'll say it right. This is Colby Covington versus George Masvidal. It really is. Mads Burnell is the guy, man. He's like Colby. He gets in there. He's got a gas tank, and he will grind you, and he will get into you, and he will work at getting the takedown. And Adam has got to stop that takedown.
Yeah. No. Adam does need to stop the takedown, and I do agree with you that he has not looked the same since losing that one fight, and that was 3 or 4 fights ago. Somewhere maybe even longer than that. Now, when I take the comparison between Mads and I take the comparison with who Adam Borics has fought, I look at Mike Hamill in terms of the height. I look at Aaron Pico in terms of the height. The wrestling's going to go to Aaron Pico when Aaron Pico was able to take Borics down at will. And then Borics was able to land the flying knee. That was still when he was undefeated. Then I look at Mike Hamill. Mike Hamill was able to take him down. But both of those guys, to me, Mike Hamill maybe doesn't have as good a wrestling as Mads Burnell. It's pretty close, but he's faster on the entrance. Mads Burnell's not a super fast guy.
This is
so
true.
Him getting in is going to be, I think, a little bit more of a difficult time. Excuse me. A little bit more of a difficult time on him getting in there without taking a knee, without taking the uppercut, without taking the push kick up the face. That's going to be harder for him. Aaron Pico, I don't even have to talk about his wrestling. It's just next level. Like him getting takedown after takedown against Adam Borics was easy work for him. He just caught a knee in the second round in that fight. But he was dominating that fight. Yeah. So he was, third round? Was it the third round? The beginning of the third round. So he dominated. He took him down at will for 2 rounds straight.
Right.
So it was a while back. But it was but that fight, Aaron Pico was dominating that fight. So if Mads can do the same thing where he continues to take him down. Now at that time, Aaron Pico didn't have a submission threat. He's developing one now.
Yes.
He's getting a lot better, and he's phenomenal now on the ground. His submission transitions are there. Back then, he didn't have it. Mads Burnell will have that. As soon as the fight hits the ground, he will be searching for submission after submission. And so that's going to also put Adam Borics in a position to be panicked. So this fight, to me, Adam Borics has fought guys like Mads Burnell, but not the full package like Mads Burnell at the time in which he fought those guys. So this is going to be a fun fight. Now, Mads trains with a lot of good guys, and so does Borics. He's at Sanford MMA, and Mads is at Couture's, I believe. Yep. Yeah, Extreme Couture's. So I'm just being honest, man. This, to me, really makes for a fun fight because their styles contrast, and Adam's got his hands full. He's got his hands full. All right, next fight. You've got Phil, Mr. Wonderful. How is he not? He's so wonderful. He is such a nice guy. I can see why they call him Mr. Wonderful. Yep. I can see why he got the nickname. Against Anglickas.
Say that again.
Anglickas. Julius
Anglickas.
It is, we used to call him Anglickas, and he was okay with it. And then Mauro Ranallo one day changed his name. Because he asked him exactly how to say it.
That is not the true pronunciation in Lithuania. The true pronunciation in Lithuania is Anglickas.
I love me some Mauro. I hate you right now. I love Mauro Ranallo. But Moro's one of those guys, John. Moro's a perfectionist when it comes down to his art form.
That's why he's so good at what he does.
When it comes to his work, he's a perfectionist. And I love listening to Mauro Ranallo call a fight, man. He's absolutely amazing. And so... But he really, that day, I looked at him like, what in the hell did you just do to us?
I'm going to punch you
Why
in the
did
head.
You do this? I'm going to just grab you and just give you the business. Oh, man. But this to me, though, if you look at the way that Anglickas, because he's just coming off of his loss to Nemkov, because he was the alternate for the light heavyweight world Grand Prix in the semifinals. in that fight. He lost not just based off of the fact that he got outstruck as the fight went on, but he lost as Nemkov started utilizing his wrestling.
Absolutely.
Now, what we're going to find is that Phil Davis, being a national champion and an All-American out of Penn State, chooses not to utilize his wrestling at a lot of times. And so, but I believe, I'm a firm believer, because I'm a believer in Phil Davis, is that he will utilize his wrestling in this fight.
Well, I think if Phil goes and he watches that fight that Anglickas had with Nemkov, he's going to see that, hey, Nemkov got hurt on his feet in the beginning of that fight. Anglickas' boxing is actually very good. His takedown defense is good, but it's not enough to stop Phil Davis's wrestling. And Phil should go to it. And look, we are always just harping on Phil about, you going to wrestle? How many times have we said it and stuff? But he did in his last fight. He went against Yoel Romero, a guy that we went and said, look, this is the first time that you're facing a guy who actually has better credentials than you in the wrestling. And he took Yoel Romero down multiple times in that fight and just put it on him and stuff. So Phil can wrestle. We know that. Phil will wrestle when he's given that, this is a guy that, you know what, he's dangerous on the feet. And I think that he's going to find that Anglickas is dangerous on his feet. And so Anglickas is going to have to figure out, can he stop the takedown of Phil Davis? Because I do think that Phil's going to go to it at times. Now, Phil's not going to just, be pushing for that takedown. He'll stand. He's going to stand and be comfortable standing for a while. If the opportunity comes, I think you'll see him go for that takedown and try to put Julius on his back. But you never know, with Phil. Sometimes I was comfortable there, and he is. He's such a good athlete. He's so just physically dominant. But I'm going to say it. Anglickas is a beast. That dude physically is strong. You talk about a guy that comes into that, cage he weighed in at 205. He's huge. Yeah. And not an ounce of fat on him. And I thought, people can say what they want. His fight against Nemkov, look, he was put into the pressure cooker against a guy who was the top dog. And, hey, he put up a good fight. It wasn't enough to win, and he got beat. He got submitted in the fourth round. But you got to have those fights to start to progress you to the next level. And hopefully he learned from it. I think we're going to see a better Julius Anglickas against Phil Davis. I think this is a great matchup.
Well, he also had a full camp, and that fight didn't have a full camp. I want to say it like 4 weeks. Was it 4 weeks, a month?
Yeah, it was 3 to 4.
Something like that. So on top of that, and you could tell by the third round, his hands started to kind of labor and reach out. What he does when you watch him from previous fights, when he has a full camp, everything with him is very defensive. Okay, he keeps his hands very tight. He's very tight. I'm not saying he's just a defensive fighter, but he doesn't leave himself out of position for too long if he does at all. But as that fight went on and Nemkov started picking him apart a little bit and started landing some shots, he started to kind of slow down and his arms started reaching a little bit too much. He started leaving it out there too much to be countered. And Nemkov had a lot of success with that head kick. Now that head kick, whether it got through or not, it still grazed the top of the head. It still was able to he started blocking with just one hand instead of blocking with two. Phil Davis has a sneaky, fast head kick. Ask Linton Vassell. He gets up there quickly and he hides it well behind his hands. Now also too, is that the submission, I think the submission threat is legit, 100% legit, because Phil Davis on the ground has one of the best Kimuras, one of the best, he's got some of the best top pressure, top control if he can get you down and work for his submissions. That his Kimura, because he's got such massive hands, he sets that thing up so well. And his top pressure keeps people down where they're just fighting for their life to try to get back up to the feet. If he gets a takedown or two against Nemkov, remember, he almost caught Yoel Romero in a Kimura. He almost caught Nemkov in a Kimura. He had moments in those fights where he likes to set up that submission when he gets to the top position, especially that side control where he's able to step over the head or he's able to kind of go crucifix style on you, where he steps over the arm. Phil Davis just needs to remember, stay long, because that's where Nemkov had the success. I look at Nemkov and Phil Davis as very similar. I look at Phil Davis as the better wrestler. Nemkov is the better striker. But the way that they fight both long, and they kind of both throw long kicks. They both stay long with their jabs. They both kind of throw like a little bit of an overhand right, like a little bit of a loopy overhand right or a loopy overhand left. They're very similar in that style, and I think Phil needs to implement a lot of what Nemkov did in that fight. Pressure, long jab, use the combinations, threaten the head kick every once in a while to keep him loyal with his hands up high while you go ahead and enter in on the takedown. Yep. I think he's going to have success. I think Phil Davis is going to have success, especially if he's got to push the pace and utilize his wrestling.
Yeah, I agree with you. Exactly what he needs to do. We'll see if he does it.
But, John, the fight that I'm most excited to see is Johnny Eblen versus John Salter.
That's a good one. Hey, look at this. Is no matter what anyone wants to say, Johnny Eblen is making a step up in competition compared to what he has faced in the past.
Yeah,
Johnny has looked great. He's undefeated in his career, and he's had some tough fights. Travis Davis was a very tough fight for him. Daniel Madrid, he looked great in, and you got rid of a guy that I think is a really good fighter in Daniel Madrid fast. Taylor Johnson was a grinding, but he just dominated Taylor in that fight. Mm-hmm. Taylor, a guy that's got great leg locks, good submissions, wasn't able to do anything. But John Salter is a next level as far as on the ground. And so the real question is, does Johnny take the fight to the ground? Look, Johnny likes to stand up now. They call him Diamond Hands. I think now they're calling him the human cheat code. Is that what it is? This is a guy that goes. This guy that goes through nicknames, as fast as
man.
Some people go through wives. It's man, he's good, and he knows he's good, and his coaches know he's good, and they know this guy is someone that can be at that top level. But he's got a guy in John Salter that's been at the top level, a guy that's good everywhere. He's got good wrestling, got phenomenal jiu-jitsu. Stand up, maybe not the best, but good enough to protect himself and stuff. So we're going to see what Johnny tries to do in this fight. Is he going to try to exploit Salter on the feet, or is he going to feel comfortable enough at times to take him down? It's the real question in the fight for me. Yeah,
but can John Salter get him down? That's the question.
I don't know.
Because if not, I'm gonna give the advantage to Johnny Eblen on the feet. Not just because of the speed, but because of just being the youth of it all. I think that Johnny Eblen is going to be able to just go ahead and fight at the pace on the feet. We saw with John Salter, when he has to stay on the feet, his barcode for his fight, he gets uncomfortable. He just starts depleting his energy. He gets exhausted. He is someone who cannot fight on his back foot and feel comfortable out there without getting tired. Yeah. Now, once he gets to fight to the ground, he'll fight at that pace all day long because he's on top. It's just nasty. He's good on top. He just puts pressure. He forces you to go where he wants. He takes your back and finishes you. He'll do whatever he wants to you when he's in the top position in terms of grappling. But I don't know if he's got the wrestling at his age to get Johnny Eblen down and for Johnny not to be able to work his way out of there and out-scramble him and out-fight him in that wrestling department. Submissions for sure.
He definitely has the ability to get Johnny down if Johnny overextends in the stand-up. He'll be out of position.
That's true.
And John is very good at catching guys that do that, trying to knock his block off. And so it's all about how controlled is Johnny Eblen in that stand-up. Is he nice and relaxed and just trying to touch, or is he trying to touch by taking his head off? That's the real question.
All right, we're going to find out. So J.J. Wilson is up at lightweight now against Godsey. Godsey is tough, man. If you guys don't know who he is, he trains at AKA. Yep, he trains at AKA. He's I should just call it Team Khabib now. He's out of Team Khabib.
Should be Team Khabib.
And he's tough. He's tough. He's got good power in his hands. He's got good takedown defense. He's someone that will try to keep the fight on the feet. Don't get me wrong, he will utilize his wrestling, but he's good on the feet. And so J.J. Wilson's got his hands full because when this gets into an exchange in terms of wrestling, J.J. Wilson, though, for the weight class, is going to be taller and longer than Godsey. But he's going to be, I think, and will he be able to push the pace on Godsey to the point where Godsey gets tired? I don't know. We're going to have to find out. I mean, but I think this is going to be a really tough fight for Godsey to have to deal with because the length and the reach, if he does get taken down, if Godsey gets taken down and JJ on top, the wraparound, just the hooks, the threats of the chokes and the submissions, JJ's tough in those positions, man.
And
really
his jiu-jitsu is good. His jiu-jitsu, he searches for submissions. He doesn't sit there and just he forces you in a direction. He makes you think he's going for one thing while he's setting something else up. The kid is slick. It's just a matter of he was trying to fight at 145 and he wasn't able to make weight at 145 and stuff. Yeah. But he's 8-0 for a reason. And he's had some big wins, big knockouts, big submissions. This is a great fight between two tough dudes. Alex Polizzi versus Jose, as we call him, Gugu Augusto. That should be a fun fight. Augusto is tough. Almost put Rumble Johnson away with a shot. This guy's good, and Polizzi is just just tough. Alex, Mr. Easy Polizzi.
His only loss is to Anglickas.
I know.
Anglickas.
Couldn't say it again.
Damn it.
Thank you, Moro.
Anglickas, Moro. Damn it, Moro. Oh, yeah. So, but Polizzi, that's his only loss. So he's 9-1. He's got good wrestling. He's aggressive. He comes forward. But Julius was able to keep the jab in his face and never really got in deep enough to get the takedown. He had one or two takedowns in that fight, but then Anglickas was able to just get back to the top position. Yeah. So Gugu is going to have his hands full, but he's good on the feet. He's going to put the pressure. He's going to make Polizzi fight a very uncomfortable fight.
Yep.
That should be a fun fight. Yep. Derek Anderson and Goichi Yamauchi is off the card. That is off the card. We haven't been told why. But then my boy, Romero Cotton, he was supposed to fight Dalton Rasta. Then he had some issues, there were some health issues that he had to deal with. So he is back, and now he's fighting Freddie Sandoval. Sandoval's tough, man. It's tough.
He is.
But it's kind of one of those fights where Romero should win at 5-0. He should be able to put Freddie on his back, dominate the top position, put some heavy leather on him, make him make a mistake, potentially get a submission. Romero's been looking really good in the gym in terms of his submission game.
Really?
So not just to sit on top and do the ground and pound. Like, hey, man, we're not getting paid by the minute. And these guys are tougher and tougher every single day, and they can take more and more shots. So let's try to just get them submitted, get them out of here, so we can get paid quickly. That's the way you got to look at it, Romero, and that's the way he's been looking at it so far. So makes for a fun fight.
That's a good fight for Romero. It's a good fight for Romero. He should, he should go in there and he should impose his will. His wrestling is that good. He's that physically strong.
Yeah.
That he should impose his will. I think Cody Law versus James Adcock is going to be fun to watch. I love Cody Law. He's getting better and better with every fight, more confident. His wrestling is on point. His stand-up is on point. He's great. And then Roman Feraldo. He's a stud.
That's the man not higher up?
He called his last shot, man, in his last fight, dude. He's a stud. He's going against Kelvin Rayford. That's a fun fight. Look at Roman Feraldo. He's the real deal. He's going to be fun to watch for a while.
Yeah. If you guys want to know what's going to be, you guys got to check out, how do you say her last name there? Diana
Asaragova.
Asaragova. You guys can thank me later. All right, on to the next one. You guys can thank me later. All right, let's talk about the UFC. Damn, John, we're the end of this. Oof. Okay, you have Ankalaev versus Ankalaev, versus Thiago Santos. All right, like I said, anybody with a name Magomed in it, just leave it alone. Just leave the name Magomed alone.
Leave the name Magomed.
Don't take those fights. Just move on.
When you've got Thor's hammer on your chest, you're not worried about no damn Ankalaev.
Hey, and if you guys recall in the Avengers movie and stuff, Thor was a bitch. No. Santos is gonna walk. He's gonna try to basically circle, stick, and move. He's gonna try to avoid the takedown as much as he possibly can. You guys all know this stuff. You guys are listening to our show. You know the sport pretty well. You should know the sport pretty well. I read the comment section. Sometimes you guys don't show that, but I know you guys know the sport very well. In terms of Ankalaev is gonna put the pressure on him. He's gonna throw some big shots. Keep it on the feet a little bit, but the way for him to win this fight is get this fight to the ground. He knows that. And once this fight hits the ground, it will be a completely different fight, John. Completely different fight. Well, everyone, if you took my advice last week, you probably didn't do as well as we would have liked to have you guys to do. But John and I are on task to make sure you guys make a little money this week. But at mybookie.ag, That's all that matters because there's always things to bet on. Right now, we're getting ready for the Final Four. We're getting ready for the NCAA tournament coming up in basketball. We're also getting ready for, of course, more fights for us to talk about. There's always fights for us to talk about because there's no season for that. But at mybookie.ag, use our promo code Wayne, and there's a QR code right there. If you guys have not signed up yet, use that QR code. And when you click that QR code right there, it'll give you a little extra spending cash, courtesy of the Weighing In podcast. Use that QR code right there. Use our promo code Weighing In at mybookie.ag. Now, let's talk about the bets, John. We didn't do as well as we thought we were going to do on the Masvidal and the Colby fight. Masvidal didn't come through. There was some other fights. The Barboza fight really shocked me, which we'll get into on our podcast as well, of course. But I wanted to make sure you guys all understand. We know what we told you guys to do, or suggested, I should say, for you guys to do. And hey, it didn't come through, but we also remember in the past, we've made some good money for you guys. You guys have been very thankful. But at mybookie.ag, use that promo code Weighing In. And John, I got to tell you, we got to come through for him in the next show.
I don't think that Ankalaev's only way to win this fight is taking him down. I mean, yeah, I do think that on the ground, Ankalaev is much more controlling, much more dominant.
Yes.
But Ankalaev on his feet is good. The guy's got he's got crisp boxing. His hands are good. He throws clean shots. I think Santos has that power. But if you look at guys that throw straight punches, and I'm going to go back a ways here, Ankalaev throws a lot of straight shots. Mm. He's got clean shots. There was a guy named Gegard Mousasi that fought Santos and just straight shotted him into a first round knockout because he's open down the middle. And Ankalaev is going to be able to catch him if he hasn't changed that, because a lot of times Santos gets hit with shots down the middle. Look at Santos is explosive. He's got power. He can put anyone out. This is not an easy fight for him.
No, I understand that. But my point was that, look, if you're a fighter and you know that your easiest way to winning this fight without taking any damage is to go ahead and stay on the feet for a little bit, but then just only to open up the takedown, get the takedown, make him work back up to his feet. Santos is not the same fighter after he's had to defend one or two takedowns, or absolutely. 2 or 3 takedowns.
Yeah, that power bar, it tends to go away pretty fast.
It slows down, as well as his movement will slow down as well. So then it makes it more of a stationary target. So, like, you guys, when there's fights like this, so I'm not saying that Ankalaev can't stand. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that why take the hardest path and the most potential of being knocked out when you can wrestle a little bit in the beginning and make it a different fight, because Santos is not the same fighter after 1 or 2 takedowns. So make it a safer fight for you to stay on the feet. He's not as explosive. The power is still there, but it doesn't get there as fast because he's not as explosive. And Ankalaev can then start opening up on the stand-up. What we've seen with Ankalaev is he's got cardio. He can press the pace. He'll still be there in the 3rd and the 5th round. He'll still be there. Will Santos be there? That's the question. And so I'm just simply saying, sure, he can stand. Sure, but why take that avenue when you know if you wrestle a little bit in those first round and a half, then you go ahead and start opening up on the feet. Santos will not be the same fighter. It is an extremely tough fight for Santos to win.
I agree with you. I think this is a tough fight for Santos. Not that he can't win. He can. He can definitely knock anybody out, but tough one. All right, Marlon Moraes against Yadong Song Yadong, whichever way you want to go with it. I hear it both ways. So this is a good matchup. And this is an important fight for Marlon Moraes. This is big time.
It is, John, but I think he's still in the top. Isn't he still in the top 15? Can you pull up the rankings there?
I think he is.
I think he's still in the top 15. I don't see them letting him go for at least, a couple more fights. This is going to be, but this is one of those young buck, like young stud Yadong Song coming up. And you've got Marlon Moraes at number 10. And so if in Yadong Song or Song Yadong is at number 14, they're going to see a little bit of a transition. Now, Marlon Moraes needs to get a win and he needs to have a dominating performance. He should be dominating these young guys that are coming up if he wants to stay in, not just in the weight class, but in the UFC. Now, I think they're going to give him a couple more fights before they would even think about letting him go.
I would definitely think so.
He's still fun to watch fight, no matter what. But I think in this fight, Yadong Song is going to go ahead and try to pressure him, going to try to push him, try to make him tired. He's got to avoid the big shot. He's got to avoid the leg kicks. But I wonder if Marlon Moraes right now is still trying to figure himself out. I don't think he's gotten a win since he's been an American Top Team.
I don't think so. Yeah, it's been
because him and Edson Barboza went down at the same time.
Yep, that's right. And he's a good fighter, but I think that the weight cut as he gets older is starting to have more and more effect on him because he does lose a lot of weight. Like when you see him in the off time, not on a fight, he's jacked.
Yeah, he's big.
He's thick, and I think the loss of weight. I understand why he doesn't want to go up. He's looking at it saying, "Man, I'm not that long anyways, and my reach is not that much and stuff." But he needs to have a good performance against a very tough guy in Yadong. But there's advantages for Moraes in this fight. He needs to exploit those advantages, and one is his experience compared to where Song Yadong is at. Song Yadong is good. He's got power in his hands. He's got good wrestling, but he hasn't been put through all the paces of what is out there and what Marlon Moraes has experienced. And that's what Marlon needs to bring out. He needs to put him in bad spots. Just, make the fight tough for him. Make him have to work hard. Make it to where he's uncomfortable, and he'll get the win.
And then you got Yusuf versus Caceres. I think it's going to be a fun fight.
It's a good fight. I like Alex Caceres. People say whatever they want, the whole Bruce Leroy thing, all that stuff. This guy has been fighting his ass off. And look, he doesn't avoid anybody. Alex Caceres is just a stud, and he has been fighting. Excuse me. I mean, you take a look at who he's been fighting, and it's a who's who, man. He doesn't skip anybody. He's had some big wins. He had the loss. I think his last loss was against Crone Gracie, wasn't it? And like anyone ends up with Crone on the ground, you got problems. In the UFC, there's no one that can. I don't want to say out-grapple. Burns could stay with Crone and stuff, but they're different weight classes by 2 weight classes. So I just look at what Alex has been able to do. The thing about Yusuf has got power, but Caceres is long. He's rangy. He has great movement. He's an in and out style fighter. And if the fight gets to the ground, he can now fight on the ground. He now is actually good on the ground. He's smart. He makes the right adjustments. He puts his weight in the right places. You see what he's doing. He feels things and he doesn't stick with them. When things are going away from him, he changes the position. I just like everything he's doing. I think this is the fight that, you can look and say that, Yusuf is, the hotter fighter as far as he's got the better record overall. Doesn't have the experience, but I think right now Alex Caceres is actually the better fighter. I think he's the smarter fighter.
Yeah, it really comes down to not just fight IQ, but it's the confidence level. Caceres at the time was he wasn't feeling confident.
That's right.
He started rattling off some wins. Now he's feeling confident. He's feeling his oats.
Yep.
And they look, just because Yusuf is the better, people will look at him and be like, oh, he's got more wins, or he not just more wins, but he's got not more wins, but he's got a better record. When you look at it that way, right? But then both of them are on the feet, both of them in stand-up areas. Caceres brings a stand-up that not many people are able to bring someone to deal with. That's why Stephen Thompson and an MVP and those guys are hard to deal with, because you don't spar with guys like that all the time. So having to deal with someone who's more bladed, having to deal with someone who throws a lot of side kicks, who comes off the side kick with a straight left or a straight right or whatever it is, those are not guys that are easy to deal with. And the way they move, Caceres moves a lot. So you're always having to readjust and basically try to level back up again every time they move. And they move a lot in terms of they go from right in front of you to now they're 4 feet to your right. Shit, I got to turn my whole body. Now I got to face you. And now the side kick comes. Then they move again. You're chasing after them and leaving yourself open.
And
so
people have no idea how frustrating it is when you're trying to track somebody down because you're trying to throw and you can never get it to where you have them stopping. Yeah. And it's frustrating.
It is. It's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do. But Caceres right now he's on another level in terms of his fight IQ. He's been fighting a lot smarter. Okay, he seems like he's matured as an individual, and it's showing in the cage. So his fight IQ is there. His confidence is, I think, through the roof. He's got like 4 or 5 wins in a row, something like that. And this is a big fight for him. So this puts him right up. Like, think about this. He's right below. I think he's right below the co-main event. Scroll up one more. Yeah, right. Because Marlon Moraes and Yadong Song are the co-main. So he's right below the co-main event. That means that they're looking at him to like make a little bit of a run.
Oh, yeah.
So after Yusuf, you're going to start seeing Caceres. If he gets a good performance, a nice dominant win, they're going to start pushing him a little bit. And so he deserves it. Now on the ground, I think I agree with you, John. Caceres is that guy. He's the guy that's going to dominate the top position, dominate the submission. He's going to dominate the controls and the scrambles, I think, once this fight hits the ground, if he's able to get it there. So whereas Yusuf is not, don't get me wrong, he's not good. He's not bad on the ground, but he's not at Caceres' level on the ground. And so when I said the same thing I said about the main event with Thiago and Ankalaev can make this an easier fight by getting this fight to the ground in the first round and a half. Caceres can make this fight an easier fight by trying to get this fight to the ground in the first round and a half.
Yusuf has got power. He's explosive.
Yeah.
You know? And like you said, he's not bad on the ground either. I'm not saying he is, but in the top position. He's got to be, you haven't really seen a whole lot of him off of his back, but in the top position, man, he's a handful. All right, Khalil Roundtree, who I love. I just love watching Khalil fight. You know, this is a guy that, a lot of people, just if you know Khalil, he's the nicest guy there is. Just unbelievably kind person. Just deadly in the stand-up, and they've put him against so many people that, remember when Gohan Saki came out, and he's going from, the kickboxing world, goes to the UFC, and who did they put against Gohan? It was Khalil, and they were expecting Gohan. It was, and they were looking for the stand-up fight. Gohan Saki got blazed by Khalil. And so have a lot of other good fighters. Eric Anders. There was that one fight that he had against Eric Anders. It's one of those fights. I use it all the time it's a 10-7 round. Khalil Roundtree knocks Eric Anders down 4 times with solid knockdowns in that round. The guy can fight, man. He's got power in his hands. There's obviously ways to beat him. Taking him off of his feet is the way to beat him. But I'm telling you right now, and not that Carl Roberson cannot do that. He can, but I really enjoy watching Khalil fight. He's going to fight his fight. He's very tight, very compact in his style, but just one of my favorites to watch and just a good guy.
John, this next fight is a huge fight, a huge step up in competition for Terrence McKinney.
Ooh.
Huge.
Yes,
Not even a little bit, but a lot. Drew
lot.
Dober is one of those guys, is just extremely tough. Durable all the way around. He's explosive on the feet. He's got good wrestling. He puts it all together very well. This to me, like, look, I saw a bunch of what do they call, like, in the comment sections or in forums and stuff. People talking about Terrence McKinney. He's way overhyped. He's not as good as people. He's not as good as he looks. They've been having him fight scrubs. Like, and I'm like thinking to myself, well, now that this fight is happening with Drew Dober, we're gonna find out just how good he is.
We'll see if you're right. Yeah.
We're gonna see. So the thing that scares me about guys or females that explode onto the scene like this with Terrence McKinney, right, with knockouts, quick finishes, things like that, how are they after the first round? Because I don't see this fight not going into the second. I see it's going to go into the second, maybe even the third. If Terrence is as good as I'm thinking he is, this fight should end up into the second and the third round. Drew Dober is so tough.
He is tough.
He's extremely tough. So
and he
for
hits
Terrence
like
McKinney
a truck.
to get him out, and for Terrence McKinney to get him out of there, we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out who's if he's the real deal or not.
I would doubt that Terrence McKinney's he's not going to get a fast win here. If he gets the win, it's going to be a tough fight. Drew Dober is just, people can sit there and say when you take a look at. All right, I'm just going to go back to Bobby Green just fought Islam Makhachev, and take a look at Drew Dober's fight against Islam. He was in there for a while with Islam, and Islam finally got him out. But Drew Dober is a dog, man, and he will be there fighting his ass off. I've seen him get in bad positions and come out of them and get the win. Terrence McKinney, this is your step up because they definitely gave you a guy that He's got a lot of experience. He's been in a lot of tough fights. He understands how to win. And if you can get this win, that's really saying something because they put you against the real deal in Dober.
John, do you think this is like when I look at this matchup, going from the guys that you fought, Terrence McKinney, the guys that you fought, and then you take a jump like this, I look at it two ways. I look at it as you're either reading your own paper clippings or your management and your fight team are reading your own paper clippings.
Okay, there you go. I was going with the management saying
and I'm not trying to say that you can't beat him, Terrence McKinney. I'm not trying to say that at all. I'm just simply saying, like, what are you getting paid to fight this level of guy? If you're not on your second contract or your third contract or whatever it is to where you're making more money, you want to hold off on these guys. You got to take a page out of Sugar Sean, and Tom Aspinall. Slow play this for a little bit because once you start getting up there and those higher ranked guys and those guys that are extremely tough, there's no going backwards except for bad stuff. Like, you're not going backwards to fight these guys. You're going nothing but up. Okay, your pay will go backwards if you lose to these guys, or it'll stay the same, which is backwards in my opinion. Like, you've got to get these wins. This is a fight where you may be able to beat him, and but the thing is, no, after you beat this guy, you're not going backwards to fight easier guys anymore. You're going to be stuck fighting these guys at this level for the pay that you're getting paid. So, I don't know. I know maybe because you just fought recently.
So you're saying he's not slow rolling it.
Doesn't seem to be that way. So I hope his management and his team understand that, like, his pay may go up a tiny bit because he is doing this. Because he just fought 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Did he fight last week or 2 weeks ago? I think 2 weeks ago he fought. I think it was 2 weeks ago. Yeah, but regardless, he's
right at the end of February, I think. So
yeah, you're not going back.
It's not even
going
2
back,
weeks,
buddy. With the win over Dober, if you get a win over Dober, you're not going backwards. You're looking, everything in front of you has a number. That's, woo.
Well,
I hope you're getting paid.
You take a look in the, I don't know who his first loss was against, but I know his losses were against, Derek Minner, who's phenomenal on the ground, very tough guy as far as once he gets you down there, man, he goes after submissions. And he has the loss to Sean Woodson, who is in the UFC. Sean's super tall, looks gangly. Man, the dude can box, he can move and stuff. But I'm telling you right now, I'm honestly saying that Drew Dober, that's your toughest competition to date. That's the dude that experience wise and just veteran, and still got speed in his hands, still has power, still just is junkyard dog tough. You get this win, hats off to you, man. You are a stud. We're going to find out. So.
Yep, we are. John, is there any other fights on this card, on the prelims, that motivate you?
Oh, let me see. I like Damon Jackson. He's tough as hell. He's going against Kirk. That's actually a good fight. Damon's he's one of those junkyard dogs that just keeps on freaking coming at you and tough. But if you're going to say anything about it, you got to go with Alex Pereira against Bruno Silva. Look, Pereira's the guy that he's already calling out Izzy. This is a guy, man, from the kickboxing world. This man is a stud. He is a freaking monster. He's been working out with Glover Teixeira for a long time now to get into MMA. He's come in there. He had his first performance in the UFC. You got to look at it and say, man, it was good. He got taken down. He kept himself safe, got up, gets the flying knee knockout. Incredible. And he's already calling out the champ. And look, he's calling out the champ because he fought Izzy and has knocked Izzy out in kickboxing. And his power is phenomenal. The dude has got freaking bombs, dogs, whatever you want to call them, in his hands, man. He can fucking swat. And so, Bruno Silva is a good fighter. He's a tough dude. And he's a guy that likes to fight in the stand-up a lot. He should not be in the stand-up against Pereira. Pereira's, he's the coming. We're going to see what's going to happen. Right now, I know, I'm sure Izzy is not even really worried about it too much, but I'm sure he's giving a look going, come on, Silva, put him back a step. But I don't know if it's going to happen.
Well, I like Pereira. David, you want to pull that up, what he said about Izzy?
Yep.
Did you keep it?
I don't
He
know
basically,
about
he basically told Izzy, I texted to you. He basically told Izzy that, Izzy hasn't brought my name up. Izzy's not talking about me. The reason why Izzy's not talking about me is because he's afraid of me. There might be a little bit of that in there, John. I mean, look, I got a lot of respect for Izzy. I think he's extremely talented. I don't think fighters like him are afraid. But in the back of his mind,
he's not afraid.
He's not afraid. But in the back of his mind, he's thinking, I do have a loss to that guy.
A big time knockout loss.
Yeah. So Alex Pereira goes, he'll run for me. Some crazy for a fight will say, I want this guy. I want to prove I'm better than him. He's fooling his fans base. People should pressure him. The least he could do is say, fuck, I'll show my fans that I'm the best, and that's why they follow me. That's not what he's doing. He's scared. He's scared shitless, basically. He's scared of shit of me. So, I think there's no reason for him to bring up Pereira right now and give him the limelight. That might be one reason why.
God, no.
But if he gets another highlight reel knockout, I mean, you got to start thinking, okay, then we can put him in
coming,
there,
baby. Winter is coming.
Yeah, you put him against somebody. You put him against somebody like Paulo Costa, who likes to only stand, won't really wrestle a whole lot.
Yep.
That puts him right into that top 5, and you just say, you know what? Let's just see what happens. The UFC has been known to do this.
Oh yes, they have.
This is the fight that I want to see. This is the fight that I want to see. So if he goes out there and fights Paulo Costa and knocks him out or makes him look bad, like embarrasses him, you could see that fight happening. Like you could see them not slow playing it, but rushing him up to the top, getting him up there right away. I'd be pumped for it, man. He's got to get through this weekend first. Let's not jump ahead of ourselves.
There's also a very good fight with Sabina Mazo versus Miranda Maverick. That's a good contrast of style. Sabina Mazo, very good in her Muay Thai, very good stand-up skills. Miranda Maverick, good stand-up skills, but likes to take the fight to the ground, very strong physically, very dominant. That's a good matchup in the 125s. Flyweights, that's a really good matchup.
All right. Well, hey,
overall, good card.
That wraps up our fight card talk for this weekend's fights coming up. Remember, there's tons of fights on Friday. There's tons of fights on Saturday. We are going. We are moving right ahead. Okay, so Dave, let's get into some news podcast, Dave.
All right, we'll touch on a couple of items here. First one is Kayla Harrison confirmed as having re-signed with PFL, and she apparently looked at offers from UFC and Bellator as well.
Yeah, look, it wasn't so much that they matched her offer, and in her clause it said that she
got no choice.
If they match, she has to resign. So the same thing happens like in the NFL, same thing happens in the NBA. Like if they want to keep somebody, they have the right to match it. That's normally in most contracts when you're talking about sports and athletics. And in this situation, Bellator put together a fantastic offer, and what that did was that allowed her to get paid. She got paid a lot more money. Look, guys.
And she was already making a lot of money.
John and I sat up here a while back and said how much money she was making. We're like, how much damn money is she making? She was making a ton. Bellator came ahead and tried to put in a better offer to get her away from there to fight Chris Cyborg. They matched it. It's a win-win. So look, when we say, it's a win-win for her. It's a win-win for the PFL too, because honestly, maybe they didn't want to spend the money, but guess what? They have someone who is now has some name recognition. They have some other guys that are in there that have name recognition. But I think honestly, with all this controversy over her contract, she's probably got the biggest name in that organization right now.
No doubt about it.
You know, I mean, you could say Pettis. Say Pettis, but
different part of their careers.
I agree.
She's the number one. You know, if you look at media-wise, people talking about her, social media stuff, Kayla Harrison is the number one fighter they have.
If you walk down the street, though, John, do you recognize her or do you recognize Pettis first?
Well, I recognize her. She's better looking than Pettis. Just kidding.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah, no.
Kayla Harrison, she kick my ass for saying that.
As far as if you're talking about fans and stuff, let's be honest. Anthony is he's well known and stuff, and there's people that recognize him. But you can say the same thing with Rory McDonald. Look at the best fighters in the PFL. If you're going to say who's the best fighters there, well, two of them, going to be Kayla Harrison and Ray Cooper. Yeah, there's people that are not going to recognize him, But
Yeah.
that's just part of the marketing, and that's what, the PFL is working towards as far as garnering that. That's why they paid her that money. They didn't want to let her go and let her go somewhere else and have people then say, oh, she's great, when they had her and they had the ability to keep her. So, look, I sent her a message and I told her, hey, man, congratulations. As as we talked about in the past, look, this is what it's about. And I know that you, as a person, and I look, she is a competitor. She wants to prove to people, I am the best. That is burning inside of her. And I think she has the feeling that she's not going to be able to do that based upon the PFL matching that offer. But I think she will. I think, eventually the PFL, it's a possibility that, instead of the fights happening in Bellator or the fights happening in the UFC, the PFL will bring those people over that, they'll happen in the PFL maybe someday. Maybe it'll be a one-off where, you get to borrow a fighter or something like that.
Borrow.
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
Yeah, but Josh, you were very smart, and we talk about it all the time. This is about setting yourself up for life.
Yeah.
And that's what she's done now. She's set. And to sit there and say, oh, that it's, she should have just walked. She doesn't have the ability to walk.
No.
All right. They matched the offer. So that's part of the contracts. But Bellator, in a strange way, just benefited, Kayla, in the fact that they just bumped her pay way up.
Yeah.
And good for her. That's what it's supposed to be. This is prize fighting. You are fighting for a prize. Sometimes, in your opinion, that prize is your ego and to show people. Sometimes it's the money going in your bank account, but it's prize fighting, and I'm glad she's getting paid.
Let me explain. I'll give you guys another example. Like what happened here. Gilbert Melendez wasn't having issues, but was like he was up on his contract for one of his last fights in Strikeforce, and the UFC had already owned the business. They bought Strikeforce.
Yeah, I was going to say,
so when that
UFC
happened,
owned their contract.
Yeah, owned their contracts. But Gilbert was on his last fight or something like that. He ended up going to Bellator.
That's right.
And they put in a huge offer for him. Well, then he turned and went back to the UFC and said, hey, this is what they offered me. They matched it. He got paid a ton of money.
Good for him.
A ton of money.
Yeah.
That's my thing, guys. Like, I'm not saying that fighters should leave the UFC. When we talk about that, I'm not trying to talk people into leaving. I'm trying to talk them into figuring out what their real worth is. And that may ruffle some feathers with them at the UFC. That may do that. But you guys got to understand, I don't think so. If you're the talent that you believe you are, and you're the talent that they know you are, then go check and see what Bellator will pay you, what PFL will pay you. Because if you're like someone like an Anthony Pettis, he's probably getting paid more over there. Maybe not when he was champion, but then the rest of his fights, he's probably getting paid more at PFL.
I would bet you that he's making as much money now with the PFL that he ever made with the UFC.
Okay. So I would agree with you. But what Kayla Harrison did here, okay, and like it was out of her, it was she had no control over whether she stayed or not because they matched. But what she did is she went out and she checked what the UFC offered. She checked and went and see what the Bellator would offer. And then PFL came back and said, you know what, for that amount of money extra, we'll go ahead and just match and keep you. That's all you guys got to do. The UFC will put, even if the UFC was to let you guys go to Bellator or PFL or ONE, okay, and you get a couple wins over there, and you start building a name over there as well, now you're like, okay, 3, 4 or 5 fights, go back to the open market and do it again.
Yes.
And check it again. Or stay there and become champion, and once you become champion, then go and do it again. Whatever it is. But whatever you decide to do, Anthony Johnson's a perfect example of that as well. He left because they let him go because he was having problems making weight. He went to the PFL. He never fought for the title, and he told them
World Series of Fighting at the time.
World Series of Fighting at the time. He never fought for the title, but he did beat guys like Andrei Arlovsky and other fighters. Okay, and he went out there and beat him. And when he went out there and beat him, he came back and they said, "Hey, we'll sign you." He stayed in the
signed
UFC
him for a lot more money.
A lot more money. I want you guys to remember, he was fighting guys like Vitor Belfort at the time when he was let go or whatever it was to go to World Series of Fighting when he was cut. He came back, signed for a ton more money. Had he stayed in the organization, he wouldn't
Never
have been
would've
making
made
as much money. He would have never made that much money. He came back for more money. There's a rhyme and reason to do things like this. And look, I hope people, if you want to be in the UFC, be in the UFC, and I hope you guys stay there. But leverage your ability with these other promotions while they're there, okay, to utilize them and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to see what they're going to pay me and go get some wins over there and then come back and fight maybe for the UFC or fight for PFL or whoever's willing to pay you the most. Anyways, all right. But Kayla Harrison, congratulations on your big contract. I'm happy for you. And, your kids will always be taken care of. That's the benefit of all this. This is awesome. I love it. All right, next one.
All right, we're still on the discussion of contract negotiations, and Dana White has come out and said that he's optimistic that he's going to re-sign Nate Diaz. And so from Aaron Bronster on Twitter, White says the likelihood of Nate Diaz getting a new contract is very good.
All right. Good stuff. I mean, look, I believe that he belongs there. But we just talked about this with Kayla Harrison. I say wait for your time frame, fight your fight. Now he's got to probably wait another 90 days after he fights. It's like 90 to 120 days. I think it's 90 days for them to match. So he needs to wait the 90 days before he can go get offers somewhere else and then come back and be like, hey, this is what I'm worth. This is what people are willing to pay me. And come back and say, hey, just match it. And they have the right to match it. They have exclusive rights to only talk to him for 90 days. And they have like another 60 days or whatever it is after they're presented with offers to match. Now, that's up to the UFC if they want. They'd be foolish not to match whatever it is that they're offering unless it's some astronomical amount of money. Now, I've always believed that he's going to leave and he's going to potentially try to fight Jake Paul, or whoever, maybe even Logan, because Logan and Jake like to fight the smaller fighters. So maybe Logan, because he's so much bigger, would want that fight. So I've always said that I think that fight is the one that he's searching for. And he wants to avoid the UFC being involved in any of the contract negotiations altogether, and he wants to just leave cleanly. I don't think he wants to fight, in Bellator. I don't think he wants to fight in PFL or ONE. I think he wants to go right to making the money with Jake Paul. That's what I think he wants to do. And so maybe he's telling him, maybe we will resign, maybe we will do this, whatever it is.
You got doubts. Look at you.
Yeah, I don't think.
You're doubting
I am.
Thomas.
I don't think he's gonna resign. I think he's gonna ride off into the sunset and do his own thing. He's got kids now, man. He's trying
He does.
He's trying to do what Kayla Harrison's doing, man. Just make that money so his kids don't ever have to work again. Smart play by Nate.
I think when you take what I like about this is I love the fact that the UFC is having a guy who is 1-3 in his last 4 fights.
Mm-hmm.
And they want him. They want him bad because they know people want to see him. And he's got that. And so the fact that they're working to sign him, I think is great. And if Nate, if they pay you what you want, man, congratulations, whatever it is, you deserve it. But it's really good. It's so funny to see them have this because he keeps on saying, "Look, give me the Poirier fight." So it's not like he's not asking for a good fight. He's asking for a top level fight, saying,
That's
hey,
a great fight.
Let's get this done. Come on, I'm waiting. Let's roll. I want, all this stuff. And they don't want to give it to him because if they do, now he's got the ability to make a decision to go out, possibly look at other places if that's what he wants to do, or just straight go into boxing and start having a bargaining agreement with, Jake Paul and what they're going to do with that. But whatever it is, I love the fact that, this is a guy that people can say whatever they want about him. Oh, he's not that good. Look at his record. No, he's a fighter. And the UFC knows he's a fighter. He comes to fight. He comes and he puts on a show. He gives it everything he has, and they want to keep someone like that, and God bless him for wanting to keep him. I don't blame him.
Yep. No, I agree. Next.
All right, we are going to wrap up on this one. For the sake of time, and I know Josh is going to go long-winded here, and it was Stephen A's comments on George Masvidal. So let me just read it off to you because it's
that'll really piss you off.
Yeah, it is pretty interesting. So here's what he had to say about Masvidal's performance from the past weekend against Colby Covington. He says, I saw Masvidal be gutsy and survive the 5 rounds, but while he was waving Covington on to come on, let's get some more, he was literally using 2 security personnel to lean on because that's how exhausted he was. Covington looked like he was just starting. He was that energized. The guy talking about Covington is in phenomenal shape. He's an outstanding wrestler, and Masvidal admitted that his wrestling was flat. How is it flat coming into this fight, knowing this guy as well as you know him, and knowing he was going to try and do to you what he and how much you supposedly hate him? How were you not ready for a wrestling match? I don't understand. It's inexplicable.
The reason you don't understand is you never wrestled a fucking day in your life.
Jeez.
And so to not understand, George was ready for the wrestling. It's just that, hey, Colby brings a pressure that wore him down. Go back to basketball.
Yeah, go back to covering the other sports that you think you know so much about, where countless other athletes have just talked shit about you. And this is why. Is that you're clickbait. You are the epitome of what is wrong with social media right now and the news and sports talk and all this other crap. Your show, First Take, and all the other shit that you guys do is fucking trash. It's always been trash. And the ESPN continues to tell you guys are doing a good job. It's garbage. You guys are a bunch of clickbait. You and all the other guys that you guys work with, it's all trash. You guys, you specifically, Stephen A., you suck. Like, all you do is downplay on these fighters. All you do is talk shit about them. You don't know the sport. We've seen you do your dick punch, baby punch. Okay, we already know that position. You suck. I feel like you have really kind of ruined what a lot of these fighters are doing, and a lot of these fans have learned to respect. You're downplaying. He was flat. You want to know why? There was a couple reasons, okay, which you would never understand because you've never trained that hard to understand. There's times where you show up and it's just not your night. You can just be flat because maybe he did overtrain. You wouldn't know about that because we've seen your mitt holding. We've seen your mitt punching. You're not overtraining doing that. Okay, I don't know if you can shoot a basketball because I know you cover basketball. I know you cover a bunch of sports. I don't know if you've ever played basketball. I don't care. Okay, but I'm not. I'm only talking shit to you in terms of what you're doing right now. This is garbage. The things that you say is garbage because you don't understand the sport. You don't understand that he's probably tired because he's had a long week of press and media and all the other things. He's also trained a lot harder than the majority of the athletes you ever talked about. Okay, 2 days, 3 days, running miles, doing those things. Football players, basketball players, they do it, but they go hard for 4 seconds. Okay, they jog up and down the court. Okay, those type of things are not the same as fighting in there. Someone pressuring you, someone breaking you, someone putting their weight on you. Those type of things you will never understand, and it's really sad that the UFC has to use you because you work for ESPN. It's a slap in the face to our athletes and our fighters. It's embarrassing. And I honestly believe they need to get rid of your ass in working with the UFC at all. Because every time you put your foot in the mouth and you say shit like this, but it just adds to the clickbait material that you are used to doing from your other shows. And it's trash. And now you're bringing your trash to the biggest organization in the world. And now it's leaking down to the fighters. And you're talking shit. One day, you're going to say something. And they're going to see you in an elevator. Don't be surprised if they say shit to you back or they slap the taste right out of your mouth. That's the problem. And see, that you're putting disrespect on fighters like that. It's annoying to me. It really is. Because I know that George is a tough fighter. He's been around forever. Colby Covington is a fucking stud. He is a stud. I got a lot of flack because people thought I was being biased towards George. It's not that I'm not giving Colby a credit. But styles make matchups. And in this fight, that style did not make a matchup. George couldn't stop the takedown. Colby was dominant in every position when it came to the wrestling and the top position, all of those things. It was a one-sided fight, and I'm a big George fan. It was a one-sided fight. But to say the things that Stephen A. said was garbage. It's trash. It's embarrassing that the UFC has to use you. I'm done.
I'm going to say one word. Ditto.
Ditto.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, hey,
I got nothing to say.
sorry, guys.
about
We had to end. We had to end on a negative note, and in that situation, is there not? Come on, Dave. One more thing. I can't end our show like that. Okay, I'm too positive. Give me something positive here, buddy.
All right. On a positive note, hopefully positive note, there are reports right now. Nothing on like from a major outlet, but I am seeing a lot when I Google search it, a lot of reports on Stipe versus Tuivasa as a potential fight in the works for July 2nd.
I mean, we talk about the confidence. Tuivasa right now is on his confidence is on high. Also, too, when you look at who is marketable, who's marketable in that division? The guy who drinks out of a shoe.
Tuivasa.
The guy who drinks beer out of a shoe. How do you not market that guy? I think this is a great fight. Honestly, John, Stipe not being what he was. Also, too, I think he signed on to be a full-time firefighter.
Yep.
I was hoping for the John Jones fight, but to me, this is a fun fight. I like it.
This is a good fight. It's a fight, look, let's be honest. Stipe is getting a little bit older, but skill-wise, he matches up very well with Ty. His wrestling is good. He can take Ty down. His stand-up, he can stand with Ty. Ty's got the power. He's definitely got the size advantage. He's a bigger guy than Stipe as far as just weight. Stipe's got the length. It's a good fight. It's one I would like to see Stipe continue to fight, and I would like to see him fighting more than once a year, because that's all it seems to be. So Get him in there.
Yeah, I want to see him fight as well. I want to see Stipe fight, and this is a great fight stylistically. All right, guys, hey, that's how we're going to end the show. Hopefully that was a more positive note to end it on. But weighinginpodcast.com, we've got some merch up there for you guys. We've got hoodies, we've got crew neck sweaters, long sleeve shirts in all different colors. We've got short sleeve shirts, we've got coffee mugs. Go ahead, check it out. See what you guys think. It's weighinginpodcast.com. Check it out. Take a picture of you guys wearing our merch. We'd love to repost it, retweet it, all of those things. And also the coffee mug, man. I got to get me one of those. I got to have one on here every single time so I can, have my drinks up here. All right? All right, guys. Well, hey, that's what we do. We got to work on the Yeti warm. Yeah, there you go. What if I want it cold, though, John? It keeps it cold, though, too, right?
Keeps it cold.
Yeti stuff. There you go.
It's a miracle.
All right, John, take us away.
All right, everyone out there, man, we hope you enjoy this week of fights. There's a bunch of good ones. Hopefully we covered the ones that you want to see. Have fun this weekend. Be good to someone. Make their weekend special. And we at the Weighing In Podcast, we'll see you.